הריני וקשר עצמי לכל הצדיקים האמיתיים, תודה לכל הצדיקים האמיתיים שלך, נפק קדוש משבר נמצאים על רבנו הקדוש, צדיק יסוד הרב נחמן וכל חוכמה רבנו נחמן ונעם אנחנו נלמד בחוטות הגן עלינו ועל כל ישראל, amen. Okay, so what did we talk about last time? We started the Ilza Rabba on lesson 60, Torah Samech, which Rabbeinu introduces the lesson with about the Torah Me'atikasima, about how in the future time there's going to be a Torah that's going to be revealed, the Torah from the hidden ancient one, the Torah from Keter, and that's the Torah from Mashiach. Now Rabbeinu is going to connect that right now with the first subject we didn't enter yet, which we're going to start reading. So Rafi kick us off, and then Ari will also later read.
So we're going to start from?
Da.
You tell me what to...
We'll do each period, honestly, or each phrase.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Da, שיש שבלי התורה שיש בהם התבוננות גדול מאוד, שאי אפשר לבוא להתבוננות הזאת כי אם על ידי עשירות כמו שפשטי אורייתא. אם אין קמח, אין תורה, וצריך שיהיה לו על כל פנים פרנסה, כמו כן להתבוננות הזאת, שהוא גדול מאוד, צריך שיהיה לו עשירות גדול מאוד, שיהיה לו הון רב, לא תחסר כל בה, כי צריך כל הון דעלמא להתבוננות הזאת.
Zach, you guys want to take a stab at trying to do this, or should I go for it? You want to try?
Sure.
No, whatever you guys... No? Shesh Virat Torah, there are pathways in the Torah. Which Torah Rabbeinu is going to be talking about is obviously going to be discussing the Torah Me'atikasima, meaning there's certain pathways of understanding in the Torah that exist at this level that are only accessible. Shesh B'hem Yitbonanu Gadol Me'od. Rabbeinu says these pathways of Torah have a tremendous contemplation, there's a tremendous binah hidden there. She'i efshar lavo le'yitbonanu gadol. It's impossible to get there to that contemplation except through wealth. Okay? That already in itself is an entire Torah, which Rabbeinu is discussing right now, that the only way to get to that binah within this special Torah, or the pathways in the Torah, Avodat Hashem, that you can only really attain, is through wealth, through parnasa, through ashirut specifically. Just like when you get to the pshat level of the Torah, the simple elements of the Torah, like simple elements of halacha, simple elements of Gemara, stuff like that. And it says in Pirkei Avot, im en kemach, in Torah, and it says over there in the Pshat of the Torah, in the Pirkei Avot, if there's no kemach, there's no flour, there's no Torah. What does that mean, flour? Parnasa. If there's no parnasa, if you don't have money, there's no Torah. Meaning you cannot sustain yourself properly and engage in Avodat Hashem unless you really have a living. That's the Pshat. That's what Rabbeinu is saying. The proof that we see in the Pshat is that if you don't have parnasa, there's no Torah. Meaning, without the parnasa, you don't have access to the Torah at a simple element. Rabbeinu says that you need, at the bottom level, at the minimum level, you need to have a parnasa. You need to have a livelihood in order to learn Torah. Because obviously, how are you going to survive if not? K'mochen, so too. The more the Torah gets deeper, obviously, you need a greater wealth to get to the bottom of it. And to get to that hitbonanut, to that contemplation, shu gadol me'od, which is really great when it comes to the secret of the Torah, not just the pshat, but the secret. So Rabbeinu was saying when it comes to the pshat level, you need to have a parnasa, right? Because to get to that hitbonanut. The more you want to get deeper into the Torah, and to the Torah of the Atikasima, the deeper the secrets are, the deeper you want to have the contemplation. What binah essentially means is the ability to deduce avodat Hashem, deduce etzot, which is really the main point. Because the chokhmah is a piece of wisdom that just remains as a chokhmah. The binah is how you take the wisdom and you apply it, you munch on it, you transform it into something completely different. That's the understanding behind the Torah, the way to apply it. That's the binah. And the binah, Rabbeinu was saying, the greater the Torah is, the more the wealth you need to access that binah.
Why?
Why? Rabbeinu was going to explain it in this section. But Rabbeinu was saying that the ashirut, the wealth, is let's just say it's a vehicle to get there. It is the vehicle to get to binah. What's the proof of it? The binah is on the left side. Anything on the left side has to do with parnasa. What did it say? It says uvismola osher vechavod, and on the left comes osher and honor. what's the right side? I forget the right side. It's Torah. I forget what the inyan on the right side is. I think it's the inyan of Torah. And on the left side you have Osha v'Chavod. Anything that comes from the left, which is Bina, which is Od, which is all those left elements, the female aspect, all of that has to do with Parnasa, which is why the woman is the one who runs the show with the money. The man earns the Parnasa. He gives it to the woman is the one who uses all the Parnasa. It's exactly that reason. Because the Hitbonenut, which comes from the woman, the Bina, is all where the Parnasa comes from. It's the same place. So to get to Bina and Ashirut, it actually shares from the same source. Rabbeinu in the previous two Torot, 58, 59, he speaks about Parnasa a lot, and the greatness of Parnasa and all these things, and how Ashirut B'Gusha, holy wealth, is a very lofty thing. In fact, how all the neshamot and the neshamot of the Jewish people and wealth come from the same place, literally from the same shoresh, under the Kisei HaKavod, and how that's why a lot of people who are very wealthy have very big souls. Rabbeinu says the wealthier, the bigger the wealth, you can tell by that how big his soul really is, which is why they have a lot of influence and they have a lot of ability to change a lot of things. Hashem obviously decides that reason, but nonetheless, Rabbeinu is saying the Bonenut and the Ashirut share the same idea. So to get to the Bonenut of the Torah, which is actually where we're really trying to go, to understand the Torah, to deduce from the Torah what it's really trying to mean, because the greater you get the Torah Me'atik Astima, the more you need that because it's deeper. It needs more tools to bring it down. The Bina is like the Ishtashlut. It's like it devolutes all the concepts, the wisdom, into what's practical. Tzimtzum. It mitzamtzem the wisdom. It constricts the wisdom into something that you can grab. That's why it's so important. Chokhmah without Bina is nothing. Bina without Chokhmah also is nothing.
So you gotta get married.
Exactly. It's like the Abba and the Ima. The Ima is cultivating all the child, which is the fruit of the labor. So Rabbeinu says, Torah, the deeper it goes, you need to have greater wealth to get to the Ibonenut. Shehu Gadol Meod, which is extremely lofty. So to get to that extremely lofty Ibonenut, you need to have Ashirut Gadol Meod, a tremendous amount of wealth. Shi'er Hon Rav, to have a huge amount of wealth. Hon. What do you call? Hon is like almost like a great wealth. And you cannot be lacking in anything. Because this is what Rabbeinu says, you need all the wealth in the world. That's the key. Because the kavanah is not pashut here. You need all the wealth in the world to attain that hitbonenut of the Torah Me'atik Astima. What does that even mean? Because who can have all the wealth in the world? It's impossible. It's what Rabbeinu said before the Torah, at the end of the Torah, when Rabbeinu said three things, right? He said, I tell stories that wake people up, contrary to the world that when you say, people were saying that when you tell stories you put people to sleep. The world says telling stories makes women barren. I say telling stories, Sibur Masyot, gives women the special ability to have a child. And the third thing is, everybody says that tzaddik needs no money. For why? Because he's so righteous. What does he need money for? Rabbeinu says, the bigger the tzaddik, the true tzaddik, the tzaddik emet, needs all the money in the world. That's referencing the true tzaddik. To attain the bonenut that we're talking about at the level of the Torah Me'atik Astima, to have the hidden ancient one, which the bonenut of Moshe Rabbeinu we're talking about here, that's reserved for the true tzaddik that needs all the wealth in the world. But the kavanah is not pashut, obviously, because you know what I mean? What did he say here? That if all the money exists to one tzaddik, then what happens to the rest of the people? They don't get money either, because all the money is by the tzaddik, so the rest can't have it. That means they can't attain the bonenut. Because you're saying you need all the wealth in the world to attain the bonenut. But if the tzaddik has all the wealth in the world, then everyone else doesn't by default. So how do they get it? וכן משה רבי רב אשי ורבנו אף שהיו עשירים גדולים, רבי יהודה הנשיא, משה רבנו, רב אשי, all these people, Yisachar, were tremendously wealthy. Avraham Avinu were extremely wealthy. לא היו להם כל הממון העולם. But they didn't have all the money in the world, right? Mm-hmm. These people, they were extremely wealthy, but they didn't have all the money. So, Rabbi Natan said in Likutei Lachot, זה העשירות מבחינת שפע כשולה. This wealth we're talking about is kefula, a double shefa. It's a double influx. כמבואר בדברי רבנו says, in ליקוטי מורן תניאן at the end of lesson 40, שיש בחינת שפע כפולה, that there's a concept of a double influx, that when you attain that double shefa, שעל ידי אין חסר לאדם כלום, that you miss nothing, you're lacking nothing. That's what Rabbeinu says here. That you need such a big wealth, that you have such a hon rav, such a tremendous amount of wealth, that you're missing nothing. לא תחסר כל בה. Meaning that you're missing absolutely nothing in the world. You're lacking nothing, you don't care. שעל ידי אין חסר לאדם כלום, כי אין אדם מת וחצי תאוותו בידו, ויסן כל את רבה. No person dies with half his desires in his hand, right? That famous midrash Gemara. נמצא שלעולם חסר לו החצי. So it's, what's the proof? That we're always missing more than half, or half at least. אבל כשנמשך שפע כפולה, but if you're given a double influx, it replaces the other half.
Yeah.
So אין חסר לו כלום, you're missing nothing. That's what we're talking about, השפע כפולה נמצא. Therefore, what are we saying? זה שיוכל לעשירות הגדול, this person who merits this tremendous wealth, שצריכים להתבוננות, that is needed to attain that contemplation, that bina of the Torah. שהיא בחינת כל הון דעלמא, ולא תחסר כל בה. What ashirot are we talking about? The ashirot which is so big that you're lacking nothing in the world, you have all the money in the world. הוא זוכה לבחינת שפע כפולה. This is what enables him to merit the shefa kefura, הוא זוכה, meaning he merits the shefa kefura with the ashirot. He merits a double wealth, a double influx. כי אם לא, because if not, לא היה שייך לומר לא תחסר כל בה. Because if he didn't merit a double influx, it wouldn't be applicable to say that he's lacking nothing. Only when you're meriting a double influx do you replace the second half of what you're missing. Meaning, what it says in the Gemara, no person dies with half his desires in his hand. Only when you get double that do you replace the second half, what you're missing. So now the tzaddikim miss nothing essentially. Can't shum ashirut belo chisaron, because there's no such thing as wealth without lack. As you know in the Gemara, ma'abed nechasim, ma'abed dagotu. Increase your possessions, increase your worries. But what is Rabbeinu saying? But when you have the shefa kfula, the holy wealth which has within it this double influx, the shefa that essentially takes care of the missing half, you're no longer lacking anything. That's why it's so important to have ashirut dikdusha, holy wealth, which even a simple person can technically attain according to Madriga, because he has the shefa, which is essentially closing in the gap of everything which is missing, meaning he lacks nothing. Which ashirut we're talking about? The person who has ashirut dikdusha, holy wealth, which means what? He's happy with what he has because he's missing nothing else. Now we understand what it's talking about to attain true ashirut, true wealth, that enables us to attain true itbonenut. Because when you have that madriga of ashirut, which is being happy with what you have, which is you're lacking absolutely nothing, then you attain the itbonenut of the Torah. Then you have access to the levels of itbonenut which were not given to you before. Whereas if you are lacking something, you won't have access to that.
That's because you're not focused. Like you can't focus 100% on the Torah that you're learning.
Exactly.
You're always thinking of something else.
For
if
sure.
you're lacking something, you're always, even if it's like not the main focus. Like right now, it's still in the back of your head.
Totally also. But even at a spiritual level, by the fact that you lack it, by the fact that you have a ta'ava for something else, or that you're missing something, there's a blockage that prevents you from getting to that madriga.
It's a little bit of ego.
Exactly.
Because it's saying I myself need to have that.
Yeah, good point.
You know, it's not you.
You're right.
Hashem gives it to you.
Exactly. So to attain that so when we get to the pshat of the Torah, obviously it's a little bit more lenient, meaning it's less strict. The more you get into the sodot of the Torah pshat, to really attain the itbonenut of likutei moran, sipurei masiyot, you need to be at a madriga of shefa kefula to really get into the itbonenut.
And that could just be Ezra Shia Sangat.
Yeah, because one was attached to really, the truth is one was attached to the true tzaddik. The tzaddik, Rabbeinu says in Chaim Ora, and I can grant the true tzaddik can grant anyone who's close to him the parnasah that he wants. Because by the fact that he's drawn close to the tzaddik is the one who distributes all the money in the first place anyways. Because the mazal actually, the tzaddik is the one who distributes the mazal, even before the mazalot. Because your mazal will dictate how much money you get. But the tzaddik actually feeds the mazal. Meaning what? Before you even get to the mazal, the tzaddik is deciding what your mazal looks like. So what? By attaching yourself to the tzaddik can give access to parnasah they wouldn't necessarily have. Rabbeinu says it's easy for the tzaddik to give a person whatever he wants, but obviously the tzaddik will make you go through certain madrigot and certain falls and ascents and this and that to test your emunah, because before you get to the madriga of ashirut dikdusha, you have to go through tremendous tests. Well, Rabbeinu says in lesson 23 that you have to go through 140 screens, even double the amount that a woman goes through in pregnancy. But it says that Hayoledet Ramat Shavim Kalin, the woman who's giving birth, screams 70 screams. Why? To give 70 screams, that's what we know. According to Zohar, Kadosh brings that down. But it says that the person who wants to attain Parnasa, true Parnasa, what we're talking about here, Ashirat Kedusha, needs to attain Kam Kalin, 140 screams. Why double? Because the Shekhinah says, Kalani Mizroi, Kalani Miroshi, Kalani Mizroi. The Shekhinah screams out to those who fall to Tavat Mammon. Heavy is my head, heavy are my hands. Why? For the person who fell into that, fell into the Tavat for Mammon. Why did it scream 2 screams? Because it's double the screams that the woman screams at birth. So double the 70 to 140. So Rabbeinu says to merit true Parnasa, you have to go through the 140 screams. What that means is Avodat Hashem, really, to get to the point where you're breaking and you scream. It's like a real avodah. And you have to do that 140 times. But meaning that comes at a person's life at certain stages. You're saying 140 times that is like, you know. That's why when you increase your da'at, you increase your Torah, you increase your ibodedut, you have more access to those screams. Because you're really going to put out the scream. You're really going to scream out from your heart. How many nafal tabat mamon Hashem yitbarach? How many get ashirut kedusha, holy parnasa? Because ashirut kedusha means the more da'at you have, the more Hashem is going to give you easier parnasa. The more da'at you have, not to fall to tabat mamon, the more Hashem is going to give you parnasa to actually attain the ibonenut. But you need to increase your da'at, you need to increase your kedusha to get to that place. That's why Hashem is not going to grant someone ashirut kedusha without or he might, add him a tremendous amount of wealth. But if you don't have the kelim to use it, it's a tremendous disadvantage. It's actually worse than not having the parnasa, because you will lack your emunah. You'll fall into avodah zarah, because you'll make the mammon. The problem Rabbeinu is going to say here. The problem with mammon is that you make the mammon the final step instead of making it the means to the final step. And what's the final step we're talking about? The means to the goal. The Yitbonenut is the final stage. We're trying to use the money to get the Yitbonenut. The second you make the money the Yitbonenut level, meaning you replace Yitbonenut with the money, that becomes the entire baragan. That's when you fall to Tavat Mammon, which is Avodah Zarah. Rabbeinu was saying that Tzaddik is going to bring you through the Madrigot specifically to help you get to the level where you make the money the means to the end, which is the Yitbonenut. The Ashirut is just a step, it's a vehicle. The Ashirut in itself means nothing. It's obsolete. Only when the Ashirut is used to attain Yitbonenut does it actually value something. If not, the Parnasa is worthless. Im en Kemach en Torah, right? If there's no Kemach, there's no Torah. Meaning without Kemach, you won't have Torah. But if there's no Torah, the Kemach is absolutely worthless. They both share off each other. And you need one to get to the other. So when you understand that the final goal is to attain the Yitbonenut of the Torah, meaning, how am I going to take this and deduce what it's saying here? To apply it in Babel of Hashem, with my position, where my level is. You know how you hear some people give Torah? That certain people, they have Torah. You listen to them and it's at a level where it's so deep but extremely practical. They have an ability to transform a Torah, which to a madriga where you can grab onto it, and it's not just a chokhmah, it's a bina. There are shiurim where you listen to, which are just chokhmah, just cute ideas. They could be very nice from holy books of Torah, but they have no ability to change you. There's no bina there. There's no ibonenut. It's just chokhmah. It's just nice gematriot and nice chidushim of Torah. From it could be even from the Ari HaKadosh, but they don't bring it down to the place of what we need, which is what? Maseh. To actually understand what it's saying. That's why Likutei Halachot is so big, because he brought Rabbeinu's Torah to that level. That we can, it's a real Yitbonenut Likutei Halachot. To take the Torah of Rabbeinu, this Chokhmah, which has the Yitbonenut already in it, but to extract it piece by piece, and to mash it up and to give it and to distribute it. That requires a tzaddik like Rabbi Natan to do. But there's people you listen to that have that, and there's people that listen to you that don't have that. The people that do have that is a sign that they have attained Ashirut Kedusha, meaning they're lacking less. They're lacking less. They have the ability to transform the Torah into Yitbonenut. That's the Ikar.
So you're saying that the more a teacher or tzaddik can give over the Torah in more of a hiponenut way, he's more ashir.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Exactly, because to attain that hiponenut,
He has to have that.
you have to get to that madriga.
It doesn't necessarily be like super wealthy.
No, ashirut, but we're saying ashirut dikdusha, hon rav. He has to have a tremendous amount of wealth. Notice Rabbeinu is saying tremendous amount of wealth has to do with what you're lacking. For example, I'll have $100 in my bank account. Someone else might have $100,000 in their bank account, 100,000. The person who has 100,000 though goes to work in the morning with the kavanah that what? He needs to pay rent, which is maybe 20 grand. He needs to pay groceries. He needs to pay this, that, all that stuff, and he's lacking this amount to pay this month, right? I go to my bank account. I live in a tent, so I might have to buy a blanket this month because the other one's dirty. I buy food every single day, very cheap, this, that. Maybe it's $1,000 in groceries, right? The lack is 1,000 versus however many thousand, 50 grand. But the difference is that I'm lacking less, which means as long as I'm happy where I am, then who's a really wealthy person? Obviously, that's what we know. The pshat is according to who's happy with the wealth that they're given, right? But it has nothing to do with. Yes, by the way, the tzaddikim, they use all the money that they get, like Moshe Rabbeinu, like these great tzaddikim, they use all the money that they get, like they have a tremendous amount of money, and they use it all for tusha. But Rabbi Nachman didn't have a lot of money.
They launder money in the good way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He had access to get that money. Rabbeinu, do you ever see the Baal Shem Tov? Do you ever see the Baal Shem Tov have a lot of money? No, he gave his money over. Now Rabbeinu said bigger than the madriga of giving the money every single night is to hold the money. That's the madriga of Rabbi Nachman, because by holding the money he attains more important, which we do not understand because it's a madriga like far beyond our comprehension. To hold the money, how that's even a test in the first place, because we are like, okay, I need to save money. He's like, no, I don't even want the money, but I need to keep it as a nisayon, but I'm going to use that money that's in my account or whatever I have left as a hiponenut. Which, to understand that, we don't even try. But what Rabbeinu said in Chayei Moran himself, all the tzaddikim have real estate, they have money, they have this, I have nothing. What do I have? What my neshama tells me, the chidushim my neshama reveals. And the only thing that consoles me is that in the time to come, all the tzaddikim will need me in the world to come for my chidushim. He said, what am I? Only that which my neshama reveals. Only the chidushim which my neshama teaches. That's what I am. That's what Rabbeinu said. So, proof, Rabbeinu on the surface level didn't have money. Did he have all the money? Absolutely. Meaning, you can technically be poor at the surface level, but the lack is not there. There's zero lack. And because he has zero lack, that's where you have the ashirut gedol, the hon rav. Now, yes, they use the money which they actually physically have, their parnasa, to actually do a lot of hiponenut with. But Rabbeinu is specifically taking note on the fact that you lo tersach kol ba. In the parnasa that you do have, you lack nothing. Meaning that which you are given, lo tersach kol ba. In that parnasa, lo tersach kol ba, in it. Meaning in the money which you have, lo tersach kol ba. It's exactly what you need. Not even more, not less, nothing. Exactly what you were given, you're happy with. Ki tzarich kol hon de alma leitbonenut hazot, because you need all the wealth of the world to attain that hitbonenut. But which wealth? The man in your parnasa. Meaning what? You taste the man in your parnasa, that it's there, that's it. Hashem gave it to you, minas shamayim, and you're happy with it. Uman. Oh wow. Wow. Look what he says here. שצריכים הצדיקים בשביל להתבוננות, ומברך שם שהשירות הוא בשלוש בחינות שצריכים להשליש מנהותיו שליש בקרקע, ואשר להיות... Let's see what it says here. עד הזמן המחד של בחינות.
Wait, you say treat it as man? Whatever you have, treat it as man?
Meaning like, the person who attains true ashirut, his parnasa will be in the aspect of the man.
Okay.
What is the man? It's minas shamayim.
Yeah, okay.
Parnasa b'torah, parnasa without any bother, without any difficulty. Parnasa will always come to your doorstep also.
Yeah.
That's why the tzaddikim were at this madriga. They didn't. You'll never see them be at the level where like they're working in tremendously and stuff like that, because they had such a level of emunah and bitachon and Hashem parnasa that they came directly to them. Rabbeinu explains the idea that yes, avodat Hashem is higher than going to work, right? Now, do we do that? Do we go directly to that madrega? It's not common that people do that. They first go to work to attain the madrega, and then after that, Hashem slowly weans them off of the work, the parnasa, actually having to go physically work, and slowly increase their emunah to the point where Hashem sustains them Himself. Because they've worked on that emunah. They went into the tava, and they from there came out victorious. That's how, you know what I mean? Many of the Brasaver Hasidim go to today. Obviously, there's different, different paths, you know? Rachim. But that's one, I know that 100%. I know Rabbi Besançon, who was someone very close to Rabbi Israel, Saba. He always took that approach. Go work. When Rabbi Yifra was a friend of Breslev, was a student of Rabbi Besançon, very big Breslev tzaddik. When he, was learning by Rabbi Besançon, and he was in yeshiva in France, he came to Rabbi Besançon and he wanted to completely commit to Torah. He was in yeshiva, he was growing and everything. Rabbi Besançon said, no, you gotta go to work. So he used to work in yeshiva. Huh?
For this reason?
For that reason, and for other reasons also, because to attain the emunah of Hashem giving you your parnasa, you first have to go to do your avodah. Rabbi Natan was working until Rabbeinu looked at Rabbi Natan and said, you don't need to work that much, you're going to work twice a week, once a week.
You still need to work.
He was working until Rabbi Natan got to the madriga. Meaning there's inyanim of why a person needs to go to work, and from that place he increases the emunah to the point where he believes his parnasa is drawn from Shabbat Kodesh and not from the week. Meaning that you really believe the bracha is drawn from the Shabbat. Kol shisha yomin midbachin yineh. All the 6 days are blessed from it. Which day? The Shabbat Kodesh. Because the Shabbat is the nekudah mitzayit, the middle point, from which everything else receives sustenance. When you believe 100% that the day you rest is actually the day you're earning your parnasa, Hashem's actually, that you're actually earning your parnasa because of the Shabbat Kodesh, not because you're going to work and actually doing whatever you do. That's the Rabbi Nathan says is a sign that you're earning your parnasa b'torah at all, without having to work, without having to use your hands. Many other things Rabbi Nathan brings down to explain how to get to that madriga, but he says through tefillah, through kol Yaakov, the voice of Yaakov, meaning the inyan of Torah tefillah. When you really use your voice that much, your mouth to engage in avodat Hashem, and less your hands, that's when Hashem will slowly start to bring the parnasa without you having to do much. Now, what do we need to do until we get to the madriga emunah? We need to use our hands. And combine it with Torah tefillah. Grab likud tefillot in the middle of the day when we're going to work, and grab 5 minutes of likud tefillot. We don't know what that does in the shamayim. How your emunah increases to get to that place where Hashem actually wants to take you away from working. Because at the end of the day, Hashem wants your melacha to be done from others. That your parnasa is done from others, but not at the beginning. You have to get there. And to get there, go down first. That's why a lot of people, you know what I mean? To attain that madriga, you see, also there's many other reasons why a person should work, and the inyan of emet, and how you shouldn't rely on others, how it actually helps you conserve your truth, that you don't need to rely on someone else to pretend to be someone different around that person, because you're receiving parnasa from them. All these things. Meaning you are able to be the person you need to be with the parnasa that you get, which is very good. Now Rabbeinu says that madriga, avodat Hashem is here. But madrigot, step. Now this is obviously one derech, but I'm sure many other people do through different derech and stuff like that. The main thing is always increasing the emunah. Increasing the emunah that what Hashem gives you, that's enough. And that's when your ashirut begins to slowly shine. And giving you more yibonanut in the Torah.
Is that, I always had a question about this. Is the emunah that Hashem, we think we need a certain amount. So it's like emunah, like, okay, we're going to get that amount, or the emunah is whatever I get is what I need.
So it's those are two different madrigot.
Yeah, like, because they always said like have emunah, like it's going to work out, it's going to be good, but then like whatever happens is good.
For sure.
So it's like, what's the emunah, that you're going to get what you need, like what you think you need, or you're going to get just whatever you get, you get.
I'll tell you what, the real emunah is you get what you get.
Yeah.
And you're happy with what you get. Now, the getting what you need is where it starts, because we feel we need many things that Hashem doesn't think we need.
Yeah.
Because it's a thought. I think I need this, right? I
Yeah.
think I need that suit. I think I need this house, the way it looks like this.
Yeah.
Hashem maybe wants you to get to a madriga where you're not. Now, he might still leave you the house because you, maybe with your emunah, you're there and the house is really Hashem Shamayim and for all these other reasons. The ikar is to be mitbatel your ratzon to Hashem Yitbarach the way He wants it. Nullify your ratzon to Hashem Yitbarach the way He wants it. Now, until then, we have to recognize our deficiencies, what we lack. Hashem's not asking us to pretend to Hashem Yitbarach that we want His ratzon. No, He wants us to be sincere before. What is sincere before Hashem? Hashem, I like this house. Maybe you want a smaller house for me, but I like this house. Now, Hashem Yitbarach, I recognize that. Am I at the level that you take away my house and completely forget everything to go into Avodat Hashem? No, I'm not there. But I would like to be besimcha even with a little bit. Meaning, to be at the madriga where Hashem gives me simcha even with a little bit. Regardless of the house or not that. Even if whatever the situation was, then I'd be happy where it is. That's the madriga. Now, Hashem is not asking us to fake it though. Meaning to recognize where we are. And Hashem understands that. Hashem grants us according to our madriga. But means where do you want to strive? Doesn't mean Hashem is going to take away the home, God forbid, or this or that. It means where's the emet? What's for you and what's for Hashem Yitbarach? How much am I leaving space for Hashem? Right? Always asking yourself the question: is this for my kavod or is this for Hashem's kavod? And the more you recognize things are for your kavod, that's where you need to recognize that you need to be mitvatel in those places. But obviously, it's very difficult. Yeah. Rabbeinu has an entire Torah about this, that you need to pray to Hashem Yitbarach according to the rachamim that you really need. Hashem rachamim sometimes is a person getting sick. But do we understand the rachamim? Not at all. Because our definition of rachamim is much weaker. We don't understand Hashem rachamim at all. It extends infinitely. We're very limited creatures, right? So we want Hashem to give us health because that's our rachamim we understand. To give us parnasa because that's our rachamim we understand. To have a proper meal because etc. 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 So we have to pray at that madriga. But the ikar is to be mitbatel, because when you really mitbatel, Hashem gives you the rachamim according to the rachamim you want. Meaning, be mitbatel. Don't demand anything from Hashem Yitbarach. Rabbeinu said, "Asur litakesh shum davar." It's forbidden to be stubborn about any single thing. Ask for what you want. Be honest, ask, but never be stubborn.
What do you mean by being stubborn? Like
saying Hashem, I demand this.
Oh, you mean, okay.
Or Hashem Yitbarach, I want $10,000 this month, right? I want that. Now, the way you have to say it is, Hashem Yitbarach, I want it, but help me get to the madriga that, you know what I mean? Yes, I don't necessarily need to want that because I can be happy with a little bit less. But I want that, meaning show Hashem Yitbarach that you're willing to be mitbatel before Him, or that you want to get there. Now, obviously, it's tough because there's a mistranslation here. That we're lost in translation. We want something. Hashem wants something totally different most of the time. And we're saying, I still want what I want. But that's because we're so filled with us. The second we get rid of the us and we start being filled with Hashem Yitbarach, the more we want what He wants. Because it's pure connection. Pure simcha too. Just we think we really understand what simcha is when we don't understand at all what simcha is. And it's because we're filled with so much us. Second you get rid of the me, is the second you really begin to start feeling simcha, because you know your makom. And you're happy where you are. It's really the place where you need to be. Meaning no one can push you from that place. You are exactly where you are. You're happy there. You're exactly where you need to be, what you look like, with this, with that, and you're besimcha in that place. I think these are all ideas of Ashirut Kedusha. Really. Because Be'emet, this is the goal. To really be besimcha with the Ashirut that Hashem gives us. One person's parnasa is bigger than another's. Should never ask the question. And we should always say, Hashem Yitbarach, yeah, it's tough. Help me increase my emunah. Instead of praying so much on parnasa, we have to be praying on emunah. Now, Hashem is not asking to pretend also, like we said earlier. Pray according to your madriga, what you feel. That's it. Be pshitut. Pray that Hashem Yitbarach can grant you the parnasa that you feel you need. But at the same time, understand that that's a deficiency. And there's lacking. The more your dat increases, the more your emunah increases, the more you'll get to the place where you're lacking less. So Rabbeinu says, sighing. What does sighing do? It fills the lack. You should sincerely sigh over that which you're lacking. Meaning, we are lacking in emunah. The fact that we lack in Parnasa is a damage side because we're saying to Hashem Yitbarach, oh, I wish I had this, right? That sigh is drawing an air from not the right place because you're asking Hashem Yitbarach to fill you something that you don't necessarily maybe need. Now, sometimes Hashem wants to give you that because that's what you need, but we don't know. It's very gray. So we always have to pray to Hashem. Help me draw close to you. Give me what you really think I need. But give it to me according to the Madriga which I'm at. Don't make me depressed, Hashem. Don't leave me in the middle. It's like what Rabbi Yisrael Kaduna said. Rabbi Yisrael Kaduna was in a freezing winter in Ukraine. And he didn't have a coat. So he said, Hashem Yitbarach, either give me the dot that I don't need the coat, or give me the coat. But don't leave me in the middle because I'm suffering in the middle. Meaning, I don't have the consciousness that I don't need the coat yet. And I don't have the coat. So I'm in the middle, you're stuck in between. Rabbi Yisrael Kaduna said, either grant me the dat or grant me the coat, but I need one of them. We're probably always in the middle. We need to ask Hashem Yitbarach, grant me the dat. We want to get to the dat. But until then, until I get the dat, grant me the coat. I need the coat. I need the button on the coat until I figure out that tava for gadim isn't. Who cares? You know what I mean? Etc. 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 All that sort of stuff. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. Where do we stop at?
להתבוננות הזאת, ובני יששכר.
ובני יששכר שהיה להם זאת התבוננות בבחינה, ובני יששכר יודע בינה. לא זכו לזה, כי אם על ידי עשירות בחינה. יששכר חמור, גרם, ותרגומו עתיר בנכסים.
So, Bnei Yisachar, the children of Yisachar, from the Shevet Yisachar, that had this Itbonenut. How do we know they had the Itbonenut? It's written down in Divrei Hayamim. Look how it says Divrei Hayamim here. Bnei Yisachar, Yodevina. The children of Yisachar were Yodevina. They had the knowledge of Bina. They were masters of Bina. They had Itbonenut.
Was Yisachar the one that was going out to work?
Exactly.
Oh, that's okay.
Exactly. You see how
yeah.
No, sorry. Yisachar is actually the one
who learned.
Zevulun was the one who went out to work.
Okay.
And then what? Yisachar was the one who went to Parnasa.
That's interesting.
Very. By the way, the Zevulun and Yisachar, they say they split it. No one ever said that Yisachar got more and Zevulun didn't. No, they split it. Zevulun always sustained Yisachar. Yisachar were starting Torah. Now the question is, shouldn't Zevulun have the Ashirut Yidusha, if that's the case? Because Zevulun really had the Parnasa. They were the ones really working. Yisachar was probably earning less, just to sustain the needs. So what's it? Yisachar Yod Evina.
It's probably Samech Bechak.
Exactly. Because they were engaging in Torah and they had the Parnasa, they had all the access to the Bina. Rather than Zevulun, who was going out to work, but they lacked on the inyan of Torah. I'm not saying lacked because they're all tzaddikim, but they lacked in comparison to Yisachar. Yisachar had the Parnasa from Zevulun and used the Parnasa of Zevulun in the Torah Kosha.
So we got to reach a goal where we can learn and work half day, basically.
By the way, yes, until you get to the Madriga where Hashem says you're going to work less than half of a day.
Amen, bro.
And less and less and less and less. The Ikar is doing whatever you need to do where your emunah dictates to earn the amount that you need. You'll begin to notice the more your emunah grows, the less you feel you need to work because you don't need to earn that much to do this. You're going to slowly start taking away the luxuries you thought you needed.
But, like for example, like a certain standard, like right, apartment, there's that.
Yeah, there's
not a
not
certain standard.
Of course.
If you're not at that standard,
Of course. No, Hashem is saying everything's at a madriga. But the more your emunah increases, the less you feel you need. Meaning, the happy you are with the small things. Hashem's not saying I'm going to take away your apartment and make you live in a hut. No. Hashem also understands the way the world works.
Yeah.
That, we saw Rabbeinu was living at the end of his life, was living in a pretty spacious home. You know what I mean? There were tzaddikim of Rabbeinu who, there's some were in extreme destitute poverty, but some also had, you know what I mean? They lived properly. You know what I mean? Now, Rabbeinu said, I'm going to give some of my students tremendous amount of ashirut, the rest are going to be literally. Meaning like average. They don't need everything. You see plenty of other chassidim, achi? They have literally all the money. Literally all the money.
Yeah, bro.
it's a funny thing how Rabbeinu says this. In Breslev, it's not really like you know what I mean? Yeah, I hear one or two like Shiner in New York, this, that, because he does tremendous tzedakah. Obviously, Rabbeinu knows why he's giving it to him. The guy gives thousands of meals every single year in Uman, millions of dollars towards meals. People flight to Uman, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Why Rabbeinu chose this person and that person, pluck at this and that. But look how much easier it is. It's just a comparison because Hashem wants it this way. Rabbeinu decided this way too. How much money Chabad has to raise for all the shlichim and this and that. It's not something you see really. In Breslev, the bells of Hasidim, they all go to work, they all learn. Literally. Look at the shul in Yerushalayim, it's like an entire thing. Why Rabbeinu wants this? The tzaddik emet, he says, I need all the money in the world. He's going to distribute. He wants a few people to have that. The rest don't need it that they need Baranot. The few will give and support to others and this and that. Who he chooses, not my problem. The other thing is the average. Meaning, Rabbeinu wants us to have histabkut b'miut. Be content with a little bit. When you're going to be content with a little bit, Hashem's going to grant you something. You're going to be besimcha. But it's not a sad feeling. You're actually happy. We're talking about a real simcha here. The Tam, when he was given the Tam you could say was in poverty according to our standards, right? The Tam had one fur coat, that's what he looked at, the big thing, the pelt, the beautiful coat. And when he put on the coat, he's like, wow, my wife, thank you for this beautiful suit. Like, and every time he puts on the coat, thank you for this beautiful pair of pants. He changes the description of the coat every single time he puts it on. Why? Because everything he has Hashem within it. The food that he had during the week was the same food every single night, but every single night for him is different. He's tasting something different. Because his parasah is in the man. And the Tam, by the way, went to work. The Tam went to work in the story of the Chacham and the Tam, the 9th story of Sibur Masiot. The Tam, the Chacham, he earns all the money. He's a doctor, he's a philosopher, he's a this, that. He goes everywhere, he earns all the money. The Tam, he's a shoemaker. The shoemaker makes a 3-cornered shoe, looks terrible. Sells it for a third of the price of everyone else. Everyone else is selling it for 3 gold coins, he sells it for 1 gold coin. And the Tam is happy. He goes back home and he tastes the man in his parnasah. What's Rabbeinu saying here? Velo tersach kol ba. He's lacking nothing. He has ashirot kedusha. He has holy wealth.
The Chacham is like stressed.
The Chacham is stressed always, exactly.
It's anxiety, everything.
Exactly.
What do you mean the Chacham?
The Chacham is a sophisticated one.
Oh, the Chacham, they're talking about it like that.
Oh yeah,
I was
no.
like, oh, what?
Like Rabbeinu says, the greatest chokhmah of all is to throw away the chokhmah and to serve Hashem in simplicity. That's the greatest wisdom of all. Torah Yutet lesson 19, lesson 44 of the 2nd volume speaks about all this idea of throwing away the chokhmah, the wisdoms. Be simple. Be simple. Go to work, but be happy. Why does it need to be so sad? Why? Because we have a lack of emunah. We're stressing out over the fact we might not pay rent. You know what I mean? We might not do this. We might not make our wife happy because I want to buy her a $5,000 bracelet and I can't do it. Now, the wife will reflect where you are holding. The more your emunah is going to grow, the more happy your wife's going to be with small things. I take her out for dinner. I take her out for this. Small things. But where you are holding, you're going to be tested in this mountain like that. It's very difficult to understand. Sometimes you need to push the boundary a little bit in your emunah. And your wife will follow suit, but sometimes she might test you. She might be like, She's trying to test where your ratzon stand, how strong your emunah is. Sometimes you have to understand whether to push or whether to meet batet. But a lot of times, Rabbeinu says, the wife, the father-in-law, the father, the mother can be an obstruction to your avodat Hashem. Those people love you. Rabbeinu is saying they're 2 totally separate concepts. Hashem's putting the people who loves you as a test to see how much do you want the kedusha. Sometimes Hashem is telling you to relax also a little bit. That's why you have to pray to understand the sign. The wife is the bina. The wife is the one who takes all the ashirot in the man. The man goes and earns the ashirot. The man at the end of the day is relatively simple. The wife is the one who distributes the money, food for Shabbat, oil for the candle, clothing for the kids, money for the house, to refurnish the house. She wants to redo the kitchen now. She wants to do all these things. Why? Because she's the one where the parasah comes from.
So true.
Rabbeinu is saying it's not you. You're going to earn the parnasah, but it actually comes from the wife. Rabbeinu writes in lesson 69 too. Why when a person steals from his friend parnasah, he's actually stealing the light of this man's wife's soul. Essentially, when you steal parnasah, you are being over the love of lo tachmod. Don't covet. Meaning what? Eshet re'echa, the wife of your fellow. When you steal someone's money. Rabbeinu says the chomer isu ha'gzera, this stringent forbiddenness of stealing from someone, you have no idea how far it goes. You can take away a person's kids, literally, physically his kids. You can take away his wife, literally, completely. And you can slowly attract her to you. It's an insane concept. Rabbeinu explains it, brings an entire story with Rav Moshe Chenkes, I think, one of the Hasidim of Rabbeinu, when Rabbeinu passed away, he told Rav Moshe Chenkes, and time to remarry, divorce. In Rabbeinu's Torah, divorce is frowned upon. Rabbeinu said, even if your wife is horrendous and she makes you suffer all day, he says, better live with that because you won't suffer in Gehenna. You won't go to Gehenna. Okay? Better have a terrible wife than go to Gehenna. Trust me. Rabbeinu was against divorce. Rabbeinu literally writes in Sichot Haran, avoid it at all costs. We're saying obviously in the case where the woman is the one causing all the suffering and the man isn't. He's on the good side technically. Mm-hmm. But Rabbeinu says try to avoid divorce at all costs. Certain cases though, in this case, this man, I think his name was Moshe Chenkes, I forget, was had a business partner. They were working together, and the business partner, this man came to Rabbeinu months before Rabbeinu passed away and told him about the problem of the business. Rabbeinu said, look, I think your business partner is stealing from you. Story went on a little bit, and Rabbeinu, before he passed away, literally right before he passed away, he told Rabbi Natan, tell Moshe Chenkes to divorce his wife. Rabbi Natan said, okay. After Rabbeinu passed away, he followed Rabbeinu's wishes. After he and his wife separated, the wife remarried his business partner. Why? Because Rabbeinu said the man was stealing from him. And by stealing from him, his parnasah, where does the parnasah come from? Rabbeinu explains it comes from the nefesh of the malchut. It comes from the soul of the malchut, which is the woman. The amount your wife's soul radiates will determine your parnasah. Sometimes the person's parnasah is stuck because his wife's soul is in constriction. Why? You don't give her enough honor. You don't give her enough honor is one of the most important things that prevents your wife from actually illuminating herself, which actually results in your parnasah. We say parnasah comes from the woman, right? Mm-hmm. Why? Because the woman's soul is the light of the parnasah. That's where it's actually drawn from. We just said bina and ashirut. It's both connected. The amount your wife's soul is radiating though, and she's expansive and she's like in a happy state, the more you will earn the parnasah Hashem wants to give you. Sometimes your parnasah is blocked because the wife is not there. I just learned today. It's crazy. The Ashkacha in Bab Nansia brings down what? Honor your wives because that's where you get rich. Rabbeinu explains this in lesson 68, 69. This idea that what? If you honor your wife, you allow her soul to breathe, give off light. The amount of light she gives off, radiates, is the amount of parnasah you're getting. If she radiates 80%, you're going to get 80% of your parnasah. If she's radiating 100, you're going to get how much has been decided for you, 100%. So, exactly this idea. When that man was stealing from this Moshe, the student of Rabbeinu saw that the man had already fed off his wife's soul. Because you're going to feed off the money. The money is what? It's the light of the woman's soul. You taking the money for yourself, you're drawing a man's wife to you. Now you can imagine how literally you're being over the isur of lo tachmod eshet re'echa. Literally one of the worst of the 10 Commandments. Don't cover the wife of your friend.
Does this apply to non-Jews?
For sure. The case of parnasah comes from the woman every single time. The man is on the right side, the woman's always on the left side, she's seen too. But the parnasah, it says, Torah, I forget what it is. Anyways, on the left it comes honor and wealth. The wealth is on the left side, it's where the woman comes from. And depending on how much she radiates, that's how much you're going to get. You think you're going to earn the parnasah. Yes, we're going to do the work. The work really doesn't result in anything. It's how much the wife gets. like how much light the wife gives. This is why a person feels like, okay, am I gonna be able to earn parnasa? Am I gonna be able to do this, that? Like, what do you call it? People always question, like, can I get married? Like, do I have enough? Like this, that. Those questions at the end of the day, when you come down to it, unless you're really a lazy person, they're relatively big shtuyot because the wife is actually going to determine your parnasa.
What about someone that's not married?
I don't know. Maybe it's borrowable from Hashem, or maybe it's from your future wife.
Oh, that's interesting.
And by the way, when you damage the Brit Kodesh, you damage your parnasa too. Rabbeinu says in lesson 11. Why? Because if you're damaging the Brit, you're damaging your zivug. Whether you're married or not married, when you damage the Brit Kodesh, you're either separating your shalom bayit, if you're married, God forbid, or you're separating yourself from your destined zivug. By default, decreasing your parnasa. Or maybe giving you more money, except you're just going to be lacking much more. Which is obviously just a bigger curse.
It's just like a lose-lose.
It's a lose-lose, the biggest lose in the world, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Rabbeinu said, keeping the Brit Kodesh, all these things, they all increase your bina, because you're going to keep the Brit. Rabbeinu said, if you keep the Brit and you go to work, it's as if you built the Mishkan, the Bet HaMikdash in your days. You see how big the dat we're talking about is? Dat also is connected to parnasa. According to how much you increase your dat, you're going to increase your parnasa benakel with ease, meaning parnasa the man, which is what we call the mikveh of Shavuot. Man, Rashi Tevot, mikveh shel Shalom. Mikveh nun. Rabbeinu explains in lesson 56. When you go to the mikveh on Shavuot, it's actually a huge, huge shoresh for parnasa. So the mikveh of Shavuot is the biggest mikveh of the year. It's the holiest mikveh of the year. It's the mikveh of the 50th gate of Bina. So we count 50 days. But the mikveh of Shavuot is the highest mikveh of the year because you're drawing the light from the mikveh ha'elyon, the supernal mikveh, which is what? Mikveh of Shalom.
So it's a Sigurah Zivug?
Sigurah Parnasa, literally a Sigurah Parnasa Zivug. It all shares on the same idea. But Parnasa b'Torah, Parnasa with ease, without the
good parnasa, just
good.
It's good. Parnasa tova.
Yeah, Parnasa Tova, exactly.
That's it. That's all you want.
Yeah, Parnasa, the man, like the
The
time.
clients call you.
Yeah, the clients call you.
It's-
They're begging you. You're like, no, I don't want. I want to go study.
They're begging you.
They're begging you to earn money. I want to go study.
It's like you can get like $100,000, but it could be $100,000, and then a pipe bursts in your home, and you have to pay $50,000. Or you can get $100,000 in the pipe. You just want the parnasa.
You're right.
That's it.
Dipshitut.
Just, yeah.
You might even earn the 50 grand. You might even earn the 50 grand instead of 100, but you don't have to repair the pipe. You're chilling at
Exactly.
home.
So you don't have that headache of
Exactly.
I lost the 50K.
You're gonna study Torah.
Yeah.
Meaning you're gonna see everything is engaging within the concept of arichut yamim. Length of days. Meaning you're adding kedusha. To really attain this idea of ashirut, you need to, what Rabbeinu is gonna say in lesson section 2, you need to have arichut yamim. To have holy ziknut, holy elderly. To be a holy elder. What does that mean? Be like Avraham Avinu. What? You're adding kedusha every single day. You're not using your time wrong. Meaning, your day is filled with kedusha and it's filled with purpose. When you have that, your parnasa is gonna start running in. But be pshitut. According to how much Hashem decides, but you're gonna be happy. You're not wasting time to go to shul. You're not wasting time on your phone here, chick chat, like, okay, here, I'm down to check my mail, I'm down to go shopping, I'm down to do this. That stuff is just, it's a lack of arichut yamim. Arichut yamim means you're always adding kedusha and yirah to your day. Adding kedusha and you're adding the zman is perfect. You're always using the zman for the perfect reasons, for the perfect thing. It's like, this is the ultimate thing. In this Torah, you're gonna have everything. All the keys to really become a tzaddik. Because what? To not use your time wrongly. Everybody wants that. To use your time wisely, that every single second's accounted for. Like Rabbi Natan said, I can, what do you call it? He said, I can account for every single minute in this world that I made sure I did not waste. But I cannot account for the fact that maybe I didn't apply the words of Rabbeinu in simplicity. But Rabbi Natan's time, you can know for certain that he did not waste a single second. They say about the Ramchal that he used to write with both hands. because he didn't want to waste time, and he needed to write so much. It's crazy. It's insane, no? So all this idea of not using your time, using your time so wisely, all plays into the fact of parnasa. Look what he says here. What we're talking about. We get back to the idea of the children of Yisachar were Devina. Why? Because they had the perfect boundary to the Torah and they received the parnasa. They engaged in Avodat Hashem, and the parnasa was coming with ease. They had ashirut diktusha, holy wealth. Lo zachu lazeh, and they only merited that because of what? Ki imen ashirut, through their wealth. How did they attain their binah? Through their wealth, the parnasa. What is brought down in the baracha in Yaakov's baracha to Yisachar. Yisachar chamor garem. Yisachar is a strong-boned donkey, right? I think that's what it is. Yeah, strong-boned donkey. Et Targumon, what is that? Unkelus explain. Unkelus has a secret for what it really means. Atir ben irsin, rich in possessions, wealthy in possessions. Meaning what? Yisachar attained the inyan binah through the parnasa. And what's the chamor? I think he explains in Yikut Alachot Yoredea, Peter chamor, Halacha Gimel Od Gimel explains over there that what's the chamor known for? The donkey, known to carry a man's wealth, possessions. That's how they used to transport everything. Therefore, that's how Rabbeinu was explaining the inyan Yisachar's bracha to the parnasa. The chamor was carrying all their wealth. It was easy. It was being done for them. So explained in the we didn't even get there yet. Let me see if there's something here. I think yeah, I think that's we could look at that. Let me see if there's Papa Lo Chochma somewhere here. This idea. Papa Lo Chochma. Let me see where he starts his comment because it's very deep. Okay, now look what he says here. Trying to see if there was. I think we talked about the idea of how the Torah started last class, right, Rafi?
What do you say?
We talked about how the Rabbeinu brought down the Torah, like when and all that stuff, all the intro. I think we talked about it last class, right?
What do you mean brought down the Torah?
Like how Rabbeinu brought down this Torah, when it was.
It's like with no, we didn't say like when he said it.
Like Rosh Hashanah, we didn't say. It fell on a Sunday, all this stuff.
No, we didn't say that.
So you know,
We just started off with the old Rashbi.
so you know, let's do it. No, because we talked about the 3 days consecutively. He said he could have held them there 3 days and 3 nights consecutively
without sleeping.
Without sleeping. So, and we talked about how it was a beautiful wedding. Rabbeinu told Rabbi Natan, oh, this was a beautiful wedding. Rabbi Natan said, surely they must have been here. Rabbeinu said, of course. About Rabbi Shimon and all they have in the entourage. And
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
But was what, like on Shabbat or before?
It was on Rosh Hashanah. The Torah was given 55, 67. Yeah.
Oh, it was like in between the night or something.
Exactly. In between. The first day and the second day.
Yeah.
It's at what's it called? At Ben Hashmashot. So when Rabbeinu was giving this Torah, we talked about this last class. This was on Rosh Hashanah. But before Rosh Hashanah, during the summer, Rabbeinu, on his way from Le Medvedevka to Medvedevka to Tcherin, Rabbeinu began to engage in Sipur Masyot. And that's the connection, what we're talking about here. The lesson 60 is actually an introduction to Sipur Masyot and to the Lost Princess. It's actually an explanation.
This lesson?
Yeah, it's an entire explanation to the story of the Lost Princess. This Torah. Allez, read Vehine. You see Vehine? Vehine Kodem?
Where?
Papa Lo Chochma right there? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, והנה קודם ראש השנה הנ"ל בקיץ בדרך נסיעתו למדבקה ומשרין התחיל רבינו זצ"ל לעסוק בספרי מעשיות וסיפר אז המעשה הראשונה מספרי מעשיות וכל מי ששמע זו המעשה מפיו הקדוש היה לו הרהור תשועה באמת כמובן במקום אחר.
So, you want to translate?
Go.
And before Rosh Hashanah that year, in the summer, before Rabbeinu gave this Torah, essentially, he was traveling to Medvedevka to Tcherin, and Rabbeinu began to engage in Sipurei Masyot. He began to tell stories. And Rabbeinu began to tell the first story, story of the lost princess. And anyone who heard this story from Rabbeinu's mouth had a thought of Teshuvah truthfully.
So this is the first story he gave. He revealed it Rosh Hashanah night also?
No, Rabbeinu revealed it before in the summer. He told the story of the lost princess. Later on Rosh Hashanah, a couple months later, Rabbeinu told the story of lesson 60.
So
and lesson
this
60
is
an explanation.
So
on
this it's explanation
on the
of
lost princess.
Okay, and this is the opening of the book, no, the Sefer, this phrase.
Exactly. About having a thought of Teshuvah.
That's crazy.
I think we're about to get to the Psodas right now on the first commentary. Let me see where we're at. כל בר, כיתה יקונו, בני ישחק למנונה, ותגמור על טיבו נסים. ועל כן, אריה יוליד ועל כן משה. Here, back. I know you all have to go, so you'll read like a couple lines and we'll translate.
ועל כן משה וכל הנביאים היה להם שירות גדול מאוד, כדי לבוא על ידו להתבוננות הזאת. ומחמת שיש בתורה ההתבוננות הזאת, על כן נקרא את התורה הון. If
you want to translate, go.
No.
Therefore, Moshe and all the Nevi'im had tremendous ashirut, tremendous wealth, in order to engage, to get to that Ibonenut. I'm not saying they actually had a physical parnasah because it actually enabled them to get it. They used it with so much kedusha. They had such a big kli. Hashem granted them so much parnasah because it gave them the ability to attain more Ibonenut in Torah. And because of that, because she is by Torah Ibonenut Azot, this is what, and because of the fact that Torah contains this Ibonenut, this contemplation, this binah, therefore, Nikhet Torah Hon. The Torah is called Hon.
What's Hon?
Hon means wealth. Hon mehever imat, as it says. Hon, the wealth, will, will diminish you from heaven, from vanity. What Hon is it talking about? The Torah. When you engage in the Torah, you'll slowly start to lessen yourself from that.
So Torah is
vain things. Exactly. Torah is in itself called Hon. And it says in Mishle. Hon mehever imat. So what does it say here? What does it mean when it says this in the pasuk? Im oseh adam torato chavilot mitma'et, ve'im lav kovet al yad הרבה. That hon mehever imat. When you engage in the Torah, חבילות, מתמעט, ואם לאו קובץ על יד הרבה. Meaning, the more you engage in the Torah, the more you're going to slowly diminish yourself of the needs for vain things. The more you don't, the more you feel the need lacking all those things. And it's brought down from Rabbeinu's word, ושם דמונים ו40 דורות שמנה הרבה בהקמתו ליד חלקה, מזמן משה רבנו עד רב האשי. נראה שכולם היו עשירים. היו אז כי היו או נביאים, או נשיאים וראשי ישיבה שכולם היו עשירים. All these people that is praying, like Moshe Rabbeinu, it's going to explain there. Yeah. So it's going to explain all that. So continue, Ari?
Yeah. וכן כל מי שעבר דרך ידע מהתורה היה להם אשר גדול מאוד. היינו משה רבנו שהביא התורה לישראל, היה אשר גדול. כמו שאמרו רבותינו זכרם לברכה, וכן רבי שיסדר חתם במשניות, וכן רבשי, שהיה חתימת התלמוד וסידר את כל התלמוד. אני לא רבשי, אתה יודע?
Rabina and Rabashi, they were the ones who engaged, they compiled all the Gemara.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
And Rabashi had all the Torah, had all the wealth.
Wow, that's crazy.
So that's what Rabbeinu was saying right now.
Also, Rabbi Yehuda and Nasi only did Mishnayot.
Yeah.
And Rabina and Rabashi did the whole Gemara.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay. שגם כן היו עשירים גדולים מאוד, כמו שאמרו רבותינו זכרם לברכה, כי מחמת שתקנו ויזכרו את כל התורה שבעל פה, ועבר דרך ידם התורה, על כן היו גם כן מה שהם קראים, כי צריך עשירות גדול להתבוננות עליו.
Exactly what you were just saying. Anyone that the Torah passed through them, that the derech of the Torah went through their hands,
They're really rich.
the Mishnayot, the Gemara, Torah שבכתב. Come visit us, bro. היה להם עשירות גדול מאוד. They had tremendous wealth. דהיינו משה רבנו, you see משה רבנו. He brought the Torah to Israel physically. He was a tremendously wealthy person. אז החכמים saying, גמרא נדרים, דף ל"ח עמוד א'. It says over there, What's going on, bro? You good, Khaled? He brought the Torah to Israel. He was ashir. He was tremendously wealthy. How do we know this? Because from the psola to the luchot, from the broken luchot, Moshe kept.
Oh, wait, can you repeat that?
The psola to the broken luchot,
Yeah.
or from the carvings when Hashem carved, because the broken luchot went to the Yahweh. When Moshe was carving the luchot, all the extra stone, which was extremely valuable, Moshe kept, that he carved. So Hashem told him, the psola will be yours. The scraps of the luchot. That's how he got extremely wealthy. He had a tremendous amount of wealth from all the carving of the luchot.
What does that mean?
When he was carving the stones,
Okay, I know. How does that? What does that have to do with the...
Moshe Rabbeinu took all the wealth of those stones. That's how he became so wealthy. That's
like from this, and he sold them or something?
he had it in his possession.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Meaning
So
that was his ashirut.
Gotcha. Oh,
It was worth a lot of money.
You took debt on it.
Huh?
You took debt
They
on
did
it. On the value.
So look, why is it significant that he took the scraps? Because Rabbeinu was going to explain. That for Moshe Rabbeinu it's a scrap. The wealth in itself is worthless. It's only to get to the end of the eternal. Why is the psol? What did it say? Psol lecha shene luchot avanim kedeshim. Carve for yourself, right? It says about the luchot. Carve for yourself. Why psol lecha? Ha-psolet yeh shelcha. The psolet carve, meaning the carvings, the scraps will be yours. That's what Hashem is saying. It's brought down in the Gemara.
And to him, it's considered scraps.
Because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't care about the money. The money's worthless. It's only to get to the madriga v'idbonenut.
Yeah, wow, that's the only reason.
That's what the Papa of the says. Look at what he says.
That's crazy.
Look at Rabbi Nachman Micheli. That's what he says here. Hapsol yesh lecha. Here. Read it. Here, you could even put the... Put the book up there, that way you can have it back on lunch.
שלך רצה לומר כי אצל הצדיק העיקר הוא המכוון דהיינו התבוננות שזוכה על ידי העשירות והעשירות הוא רק מבחינת סיבובים והקדמות שעל ידם באים אל המכוון ושזה בחינת פסולת שנסערים ונפסלים סביב המכוון.
Meaning to say that by the tzaddik, the true tzaddik we're talking about here, because at this Malaga, the ikar is the mechuvan, the intended direction where you're trying to go, the intended subject, which is what? The Yibonenut. Meaning the Yibonenut, that he merits through the Ashirut. The Ashirut is a means to the end. The wealth is just a means to the end, which is the contemplation. The Ashirut, he says, is just Sibuvim, it's just a...
It's the tafel.
Yeah, it's a tafel, exactly. It's not the important part. It's Sibuvim. It's just to bring you via the desert. It's like why Bnei Israel went to the desert for 40 years like this. It's just Sibuvim and introductions, that through those introductions you get to the intended subject. When you get to the intended subject, you throw out the rest. You don't care about it. Yeah. Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't use it for his own kavod. Even the parnasa that he did have, he wouldn't use, like the Baal Shem Tov, right? We can say that the Baal Shem Tov had Asherot Yusha. But he gave it away because he didn't care.
It's like, I feel like if the money that we have, if we really just focused them on giving it to Hashem, how much would we actually not have to use it?
You're right. Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
What was the question?
No, I feel like just like if we really, like, let's say you had $100,000 and you really used it just towards Hashem, like you took your ego out and saying, I'm only doing this for Hashem. Think about how much excess, like scraps, you would just like be
100%.
Doesn't even matter.
You're right, 100%.
So I have a question. So we said, just to go back, we said that wealth is the idea that you're not lacking anything.
The truest wealth.
The truest wealth. But we're also saying that all these tzaddikim had actual physical wealth. So what?
There is an inyan there, because Rabbeinu is saying at the minimum level you need to have a parnasa, meaning that the physical money in itself, gets you to that contemplation. Meaning you need the actual physical money we're talking about here.
Yeah.
You need an actual physical parnasa. Now, when you get to the Yibonenut to the Torah, it will get you to the realization that the money in itself is worthless. Which is why the tzaddikim, the more they earn the money and they use it in kedusha, the less they need. Meaning they increase their dot.
The more becomes psoret.
Exactly, the more becomes psoret. Meaning they everybody has a physical parnasa, right? You're gonna have money, but how are you gonna use the money? The more you're gonna use the money towards kedusha, the Hashem's going to grant you more, you're going to use it, you're going to get rid of it. Meaning, you're going to give more tzedakah. Instead of giving 10%, you're going to start giving 12, 15. You're going to start giving more tzedakah that you're not even going to count in the ma'aseh. You're going to start giving things like this.
So Rabbeinu he just didn't do anything with the money, you're saying?
Rabbeinu himself.
You say he just held on to the money.
Yeah, Rabbeinu
So
just had to hold on with
But
it.
it's interesting, he was very particular with money, so be very careful how you use your money.
Of course. Because there's so many inyanim, how ashirut, already at a simple level, at a pshat level, when you go to work and you sweat, you use your blood, your tears to earn a parnasah, Rabbeinu says, how much time do you spend away from Torah to go earn a living?
You better use that money for
He says, if you don't protect your money, you are literally being mitbazeh, you're being disgraceful to Hashem Yitbarach. You literally go earn a living. You go earn a living to spend away from Torah and mitzvot, and then whenever you come out, what? You don't use your money. You don't save the money that you earn when you're away from Torah and mitzvot, when you're turning your face from Hashem Yitbarach. And what? Rabbeinu, one time a person came to Rabbeinu, lost his money in his pocket. Rabbeinu said, and what? You think it's okay to have a pocket that's not fully stitched? You spend so much time to go earn a living and you don't stitch your pockets to protect your money? Rabbeinu said you have to guard the money in your pocket like the eye in your head. It says, well, ayin shebarosh. You have to guard the money in your pocket like the eye in your head. You cannot let. It says be very particular with it. Meaning don't do shtuyot with the money. Aside from the fact that also, you spend so much time away from Torah and doing things like engaging with goyim, putting yourself in such a dangerous place. How can you be so disgraceful to the money that you literally told Hashem, okay, I need to separate myself from you to survive? Why, you're not caring? No, Rabbeinu said you really have to put in, you know what I mean? You really have to care. You put in all that work, put in the effort to guard it properly. And so what we were saying, yes, the physical wealth is important and it's necessary. The physical, parnasah. But Rabbeinu was saying, the more you engage in the bonanut, you begin to realize that you're lacking. You begin to lack less and less. The real parnasah we're talking about here is at the end, whenever you recognize that the psoret is worthless, the parnasah is worthless, and it's actually just a means to the end. When you get to that madriga where it's a means to the end, that's when the parnasah becomes meaning you won't lack anything in it.
So they said about Rabbi Yehuda Natsi, he had all the money, but he never got enjoyment.
Exactly.
But he wasn't not enjoying it. It wasn't for him ever. It was literally only for Hashem. He would have all these crazy meals, everything. It was just for Hashem.
Only for Hashem. You're 100% right. It's crazy. It's really exactly that.
Yeah.
It's really exactly that. I'm going to finish off the commentary here. Here, I'll also give you this. No. Let's see. Here. כמו כן, גם כן העשירות הוא בחינת פסולת נגד התבוננות. So too, the wealth is psolet in comparison to the contemplation which you receive from it. שהוא עיקר המכוון אצל הצדיק, which is the main intention of the צדיק. רק שממנה מאחר שעל ידי העשירות בא למכוון, שהוא התבוננות שזה בהתבוננות הוא טובת כל ישראל. It's just like automatically by מאחר שעל ידי העשירות בא למכוון, that by the fact, why did the tzaddik get more wealth, more money? He doesn't really need it if he just, you know what I mean? Look at this. By the fact that the ashirut brings you to the final goal of hitbonanut, and that hitbonanut, because the tzaddik is selfless, he gives the hitbonanut to the Jewish people. It's for the good of the Jewish people that hitbonanut, because he's illuminating the world with the Torah to draw them close to Hashem Yitbarach. With that hitbonanut, כמו שבכלל משה קיבל הלוחות מצרים לבני ישראל, just like Moshe Rabbeinu received the luchot and gave it to the Jewish people, because everything's for the Jewish people. לכן קיבל כל התורה ונתנה לישראל, and he received the entire Torah and gave it to the Jewish people and taught it to the Jewish people. רק שהפסולת של הלוחות ממנה נשאר שלו, כמו שאמר לו השם יתברך. It's just that what? The psolet, the scraps of the luchot, immediately became Moshe Rabbeinu's. Why? Because Hashem is constantly granting ashirut, so he has more hitbonanut to benefit the Jewish people even more. It's a constant cycle. And it says, Umisham nitasher Moshe. From there, Moshe became wealthy. That's what I'm going to explain at the end of the section, but you're not there yet. That from where? From the luchot. But from the what do you call? From that place, from the hitbonanut, he constantly getting more wealth. Meaning Moshe Rabbeinu is getting more wealth and more wealth from the hitbonanut that he's constantly granting to the Jewish people.
It's just a cycle.
Ashirut. he gets to the Hitbonenut, gives the Hitbonenut to the Jewish people. Hashem says, you're more Ashirut. More
You just
Hitbonenut.
gotta get the pedals going and then it's just.
Yeah, exactly. Game of Emunah, game of constantly relying on Hashem Yitbarach. It's a real level that Hashem we're talking about here. And this Rabbeinu was saying, there's obviously the level of Moshe Rabbeinu where we're at the level where he has to bring the Torah down. That's a level of Ashir we don't even like Hitbonenut we don't have access to because it's an entirely different madriga to have to bring it and to teach it.
But you're saying like what Moshe Rabbeinu, but we have a lot of tzaddikim.
Exactly. Meaning like their level of Ashirut has to be totally different because they're bringing it down. They have to do it in an entirely different madriga, which is why they were so wealthy because they needed all that physical parnasah to physical Ashirut to get to the Hitbonenut, to bring it down to us. Because there's so many levels of Hitbonenut, pathways of Hitbonenut that they could attain that would benefit us.
Yeah.
And Hashem wanted them to access that. For us, it's something different. It's the inyan of pushing the boundary level by level with our emunah, with using our ashirut for holy purposes to increase our level of Hitbonenut, to engage in the Torah, to go from work to Torah, to constantly balance this idea together, and to use that gashmiut for ruchaniut, so that what we can actually take more Hitbonenut to benefit us, the people around us, and Hashem will constantly do it.
So I have a question. So for me personally, how what I'm taking how do I take this away from my everyday? Because I'm not going to get to the level of the tzaddikim of
bringing a
Torah down. So I have to work on being happy in not what I lack and what I have,
Of course.
and then trying to use every dollar that I can for Hashem.
For holy purposes.
For holy purposes.
That means even your wife and this, that, of course. But 100%.
But it's funny because I feel like, I don't know, I was thinking, everything can be holy. Like, it's not like, oh, you only have to put it to something that's so obviously holy.
No, it's not.
like you can literally just buy a bottle of wine and say, the Choshas Kodesh, and it's holy. You can turn everything.
Totally. 100%. That's why the more you break your tablet, the more you break your desires and stuff, the more your direction is going to be holy.
Yeah.
The bottle of wine won't, like there's a level where like, okay, you're going to buy the nice bottle of wine for Shabbat Kodesh, but you really like it because you love the tablet of wine.
Yeah.
But then there's a level where you slowly break your tablet and you're like, I'm still going to buy it, but because of the Shabbat Kodesh.
Yeah.
And the focus becomes Shabbat. Like the tachlit is the right direction. Meaning, yeah, when you're going to slowly start engaging Kedusha, you're going to start studying Torah, you're going to start doing Ibadadut, you're going to constantly engage in that process, the things that you do with the money will be more directed into the holy direction. And in that scenario, when it's directed in the holy place, you're going to attain Ibadadut. Hashem grants Ashirut to everyone in a sense, a Parnasah to everyone. At the shot level, a Parnasah, right? Yeah. Now, the greater you want the aspect of Torah, the more Ashirut you need. The greater Hitbonenut you want, the more Ashirut you need. But Hashem can only grant that Ashirut to you if He sees that you've already been using the Parnasah you've been given for the lower levels of Hitbonenut. Then He's going to start granting you Ashirut in different scenarios, the way Hashem wants. Now, sometimes a person, maybe, I don't know. Each and every person with his case, according to how much his Parnasah is and this and that. But the main thing is where at the madriga we are. Yeah. Increase our emunah that what Hashem gives us is good. To use whatever Hashem gives us and to really enforce as much as possible into the Kedusha. Obvious and non-obvious. Like honoring the wife is a non-obvious because it doesn't seem like this. Obviously it's stuck up. Yeah. And yeah, constantly engaging in that, using the ashirut, using your house, even things your thing like using your car to drive someone around that needs. Yeah. Like everything that you're doing is using the gashmiut as a vehicle for kedusha, and doing that you can attain the Hitbonenut. Now Rabban was saying the ashirut in itself directly affects the Hitbonenut. You're using your ashirut to actually attain the Hitbonenut at a simple level, meaning here you're gonna go in a parnasah. I earned it, good enough, go back and study Torah. That's at a simple level. Mm-hmm. You're using your ashirut to have the peace of mind to go study. Yeah. Then it becomes a little bit more sophisticated. Yeah. You know? Each and every person at the madriga. But at a practical level, it's happening for every single one of us. Yeah. it's really affecting Hitbonenut for sure. כמו כן מפחתיות אצל הצדיק על ידי השירות בעל התבוננות ומאיר בזה עיני כל ישראל והפסולת שעיבוד השירות ממילא נשאר שלו כי לא סגי בלאו הכי. Because through the Ashirut, the tzaddik gets to the Hitbonenut and illuminates the eyes of the Jewish people. And the psolet, the scrap, which is the Ashirut, immediately stays by him. It just remains there because the tzaddik's going to constantly use that to bring more Hitbonenut.
So he's using, okay, he's just using the scraps.
To get there.
So you're saying, so that's why the tzaddik can just hold on to it for the Hitbonenut.
Exactly, because it's scraps.
Okay, got it.
Why Rabbeinu holds the money? Because it's scraps in which he's using to get to the Hitbonenut. It's a very deep and awesome level we're talking about here. It's it's a very special inyan here. I'm trying to see what it says here. Here, take this one. Trying to see what it says here. So we said that what? That Moshe Rabbeinu was extremely wealthy, and so too Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who organized and sealed all the Mishnayot. He was extremely wealthy, as we know. Rav Ashe, who sealed the Talmud, the Gemara. He organized the Talmud. He too was wealthy. They were all wealthy. כמו שאמרו רבי תלמיד ברכה, the Chachamim say in the Gemara, Gitin, Nuntet Amud Aleph. And it's brought down over there. Amar Rav Acha ברד רבה, אף אנה אומר ממות רבי, ועד רב אשי לא מצינו תורה גדולה במקום אחד. Rav Acha, the son of Rabba, says in Gemara Gitin, I too also say, from the days of Rabbi up until the days of Rav Ashi, we did not find Torah and Gedula and greatness, meaning wealth, in the same place. In Brachot Daf Nun Zayin Amud Bet, also Rav Ashi says over there that he testified that he was wealthy. And he had tremendous possessions. So no. Let's see what it says here. Look what it says in the. It's so interesting. Let me see where we are here. Okay, so what did it say? Because of the fact that they organized, they were mesader, and they rectified the entire Torah Shabbat, the oral Torah, and through them the Torah existed. They brought it down. Therefore, they were extremely wealthy. And to get to that Hitbonenut, we need a tremendous amount of Ashirut. Now, which Hitbonenut are we talking about? The greater the Hitbonenut, the more Ashirut you need. We're talking about obviously the Sodot of the Torah, not just the Pshat. Because the Pshat you need simple Parnasa. To get to the Hitbonenut, to get to the real Hitbonenut, the Sodot of the Kabbalah, and so on.
Was the Rizal wealthy?
What?
Was the Rizal wealthy?
I wouldn't say he was wealthy, but when we talk about Ashirut,
it's definitely
it's in their scenario, meaning let's just say it's a little like yes, the money that they had, they were extremely wealthy. Now they use their parnasa to get the Hitbonenut. Let's just say they had access. I don't know. Like Rabbeinu also, because Rabbeinu wasn't like the wealthiest tzaddik at the time, like at a physical level, but there was definitely something going on where Rabbeinu says like he can distribute the parnasa. That means that he has ashirut. Why he uses a certain amount of the money that he has for the money that he has, he uses it all for the Hitbonenut and all this stuff. And it's an entire thing. But it's an interesting point that you notice, that you're noting right now. And he says here, because you need a great ashirut to get the Hitbonenut. So we talked about like the Sodot of the Kabbalah, those idea which we really need a lot of ashirut to get there because the Hitbonenut is much greater. So he asked over there, why did Rav Ashi, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, which are all pshat of Torah, Torah Shabbat, why were they all so wealthy? It's not a secret to the Torah. They didn't need tremendous amount of wealth. It's pshat. To get to the Hitbonenut of the Gemara, you don't need as much wealth as you need to get to the Hitbonenut of the Zohar. So, what's the inyan? The answer in Parashat Pinchas of the Zohar HaKadosh, Raya Mehemna. רבנן דמתניתים והמוראים כל תמול לדילהון על רזין דאורייתא סידרו. What does it mean? All the Chachamim, the Mishnah, and the Amoraim, all the Talmud, their teaching, all the Torah, were organized through the Sodot HaTorah. Meaning everything they did had the Kavanah Sodot. We just obviously couldn't understand it.
Mishnah is a Mishnah,
But everything was done through Sodot.
Yeah.
Meaning there was a tremendous Ibn there that they were revealing. Good to see you, bro. This is why they're extremely wealthy. Exactly what we're saying here. See if here, yeah, the Kitolik Tamon is explaining the same thing here. They were all very wealthy people. So we're talking about here, yes, you need to have such an ashirut, you have such a great wealth that you have nothing lacking. You need all the wealth in the world. That's what we talked about here. Now we discussed the distinction at a spiritual place where you're not lacking anything. Because Hashem's going to grant a person who's not at a very spiritual place, who's not lacking anything, the ashirut that he needs to get to the next level that he's supposed to bring down. And then when he gets to that level, Hashem will grant him more. Or he's going to constantly use the psola that Hashem gives him to get to that Ibn.
This is a wild concept.
It's a very, very deep concept. And there's obviously some nuances here that I don't fully understand with the kind of why that's, like you mentioned earlier, like why Rabbeinu specifically, the Aliyah Kadosh at a physical level weren't extremely wealthy. But Hashem obviously, or even with their own want, they had exactly what they felt they needed to perform the Hibonut that they needed to bring down. Obviously, it's the greatest Hibonut that exists.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about Rabbi Nachman, the Aliyah Kadosh, the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai even. It's not like we hear that these people were tremendously wealthy, but they had the greatest Hibonut.
Yeah.
I guess it seems that they could attain that Hibonut through the fact that they were really Samech in their Chedek and they really had it all the Panazah. At a spiritual level, obviously, that they could decide all the Panazah, but they didn't take everything.
Yeah.
I mean, their psolet was enough to grant everything they need to bring down.
They really used every single dollar.
Exactly. Every single scrap to bring down the Ibn that they needed to, and obviously they were very successful.
And so we were talking about Orach Yamim, right, before?
Yeah, for them, yeah.
So it's like, you're not wasting time, not wasting a dollar.
Exactly.
Don't waste it too.
Exactly.
No scrap. But we're saying, but you need the scraps though.
You're right.
They don't use the scraps.
They use the scraps to get to the Ibn. The scrap in itself has no value without the Ibn.
No, okay.
Meaning it's only just a vessel
Yeah.
to bring you there. But they place no importance on the scrap. Meaning, it's like I'm going to use a trampoline to jump on the tree, but the trampoline is worth it because I only want the tree.
Just the scrap is just the vehicle to get there.
Yeah, it's the vehicle to get there.
Yeah.
It's always, you know what I mean? When you get there, you throw away what you know what I mean? Now, the truth is, because they constantly want to bring down more Ibn, they continue using it.
Yeah.
They extract every single drop of thing that they can grab from the scrap, you know? But clearly that there's something here that, you know what I mean? That's tremendous. Let's see what it says here. Kol honde arma. Yeah, we can put up on here. And they had a shefa kefura, what we talked about earlier.
The double portion.
The double portion, double abundance, meaning they absolutely lack nothing. Because their ashirut was so holy. So Rabbeinu is saying v'lo techsach korba specifically, that he has such a great wealth that he has what? V'lo techsach korba. He's lacking nothing in it. Yeah. And that wealth is only possible if you're lacking nothing in it. It's only possible if you're in the side of tusha, meaning it's not only just a wealth. it's paired with a tremendous amount of kedusha.
What do you mean? Like,
Meaning the only way where it's going to be lacking nothing, your wealth, is if you have so much kedusha where you're at the madriga where it lacks nothing. Yeah, like what were you saying? It all plays into each other, the wealth, the Torah back into the wealth, all this stuff.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I feel like it's like this like web and everything just connects.
Exactly.
Like that, this is that, and
100%.
it's not like one, like you get from A to B, then C, then D.
You're right. Because a lot of your ashiyot will be determined by your Torah.
Yeah.
For sure. It's feeding back on each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're constantly feeding each other. It says here, yeah. What we're talking about is such an expansion of consciousness, a bina. To get there, it's only possible through ashiyot kedusha, a really tremendous holy wealth.
But it's like what you were saying before. It's like you can be like, okay, I'm gonna buy these shoes because I want to wear them on Shabbat and make Shabbat nice. But we're still at this madriga where it's like you're saying you still just want to wear the nice shoes.
You're right. Exactly.
You know, but these people are like, it's just not even that.
It's so not even close to that.
Not even close to that. Like, yes, we'll still have some making code kedusha, but we still have a lot of guidelines as well.
That's where we get into the name of Arichut Yamim and Yirat Shamayim, which Rabban is going to get into.
Yeah.
Because to really attain that, Rabban, it's funny, we're doing one subject without the concept which we need from lesson 2, from section 2, because section 2 is going to explain how to get there, how to get Ashiyot Kedusha, what it means Ashiyot Kedusha. We're like, we're trying to explain it like where we are right now without the context of what Rabban was going to explain is the second quality. You kind of need to get to the wealth of holiness.
But is that what he does? Rabbi Nachman, like he just starts with like a crazy idea, and you're just like,
whereas
and then he sort of like breaks it down.
Exactly.
Okay,
The more you go from section to section, you see how it's broken down.
Okay.
That's why it's more hard to understand right now. But at a simple, practical level, you're gonna understand how it intertwines together. The inyan of ashirot, the inyan of Torah, the inyan of arichut yamim. How arichut yamim needs to be brought down into the wealth. When you have true length of days in your wealth. We're going to talk about tikkun atik, the rectifications of atik. All these ideas are all going to feed onto each other. They're going to help us understand how they work together. This relationship between ashirut and ibonanut. Because that's the main thing in ibonanut. The ashirut is just the way to get there. You cannot get to the ibonanut without the ashirut.
Okay.
So,
beautiful.
That's where we are at. Let me put a note here. I'll write here. וזה בחינת פסולך right here.
You guys went to high school together?
Yeah.
Same age?
Same age,
What's
bro.
his first name? And his last name?
Ari.
Ari. Okay.
Yeah. That's it. Exactly. That's where we are. I'm gonna put a note here. Bobby, can you turn off the camera for any chance?